So Dianne Feinstein has introduced another gun control bill, this time a federal red flag law. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think that the federal government needs to keep their hands off of your firearms, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. I also want to give a shout out to one of the main supporters of the channel, that is USCCA. Through your membership, you get training, education, and self-defense liability protection. So if you carry a firearm, I highly recommend you look into USCCA, and I'll put a link to them down in the details section. I also want to thank Safe Life Defense for supporting the channel. They have the flexible rifle armor system that you can pick up right now. Really cool, really neat, super comfortable to wear. And also soon they'll have the Memorial Day sale. So pick yourself something up, and if you use the code ARMSCHOLAR, you will get 10% off of your order. So like I said in the intro, Dianne Feinstein has introduced another piece of gun control legislation, this time a federal red flag law bill. This bill is titled the Extreme Risk Protection Order Act, and it has been introduced by Dianne Feinstein along with Representative Salud Cabral out of California, both of them out of California, of course. And what this seeks to do is actually take something that's already in existence in the state of California as far as a red flag law and extend it nationwide. The state of California already has an extreme risk protection order law on its books, and it actually does this by creating these gun violence restraining orders, or the GVROs that the state of California calls. And essentially what it is just a red flag mechanism. It is a way for the police department to actually seek a restraining order by a court or a magistrate against you and actually seize your firearms or prevent you from being able to possess them, go and buy them, buy ammunition, things like that, while you have this restraining order on you. This can be initiated by the police department, or it can also be done by individuals like family members or friends, people who are concerned for your safety or safety of others because they feel like in some way you pose some sort of threat. So for example, in the state of California, there are a list of eligible petitioners. So let's go through the list. It can be a law enforcement officer. It could be a family or current or recent household member of the person named in the petition. So as long as that person is a family member or some sort of a household individual who's lived with you, then they can also seek that restraining order against you as well. And also recently, as of 2020, it can also be sought by a coworker or also an employer. They could seek that restraining order by a court. And then also there's some language in there where a teacher of an individual who's like in a post-secondary school could also seek that restraining order by the courts and have those firearms removed from you as an individual, or prevent you from being able to possess them, go and buy them, things like that. So this is all based on some laws that are already on the books in the state of California. With this new bill that Dianne Feinstein is proposing, it seeks to pretty much do that nationwide and require that all states have to institute these extreme risk protection orders as well. On top of that, in this bill that Dianne Feinstein is proposing, there are even ex parte mechanisms, pretty much meaning that there can be a petition by the court by these petitioners, and then the state, the law enforcement officers go to courts, and it's done on an ex parte basis, which means without you. So pretty much they go through the process without you because for whatever reason they think that there's some sort of exigency where they have to do this right here and now, and pretty much during that process you are simply just not heard because it's done on that ex parte basis. Now, I'm not going to read to you the entire proposed bill because I pretty much summarized it already with what California is already doing. But when you look at this bill, which I'll put a link to down in the detail section along with everything else I'm talking about, if you look at the subsection 2, it says Extreme Risk Protection Order. The term Extreme Risk Protection Order means a written order or warrant issued by a state or tribal court or signed by a magistrate or other comparable judicial officer. The primary purpose, which is to reduce the risk of firearm-related death or injury by doing one or more of the following. And it does this by A, prohibiting a named individual from having under their custody or control of the individual owning, purchasing, possessing, or receiving a firearm. B, having a firearm removed or requiring the surrender of the firearm from a named individual. So those are the two main options that this whole thing is surrounding around what this extreme risk protection order mechanism seeks to do. Pretty much prevent you from being in possession of these items, seizing those firearms from you, or having you actually having to go and give them up to law enforcement officers while you're going through this process. Now, how does this all happen? What is the mechanism for this? Well, it's outlined in here as well. It says a petitioner, including a law enforcement officer, may submit a petition to a state or tribal court on a form designed by the court or a state or tribal agency that 1, describes the facts and circumstances surrounding that an extreme risk protection order be issued against the named individual and is signed by the applicant under the oath. So I'll read to you some statements by Dianne Feinstein on the whole purpose behind why she wants this national extreme risk protection order mechanism to be in place. She states that extreme risk protection orders save lives by keeping guns out of the hands of people who are a threat to themselves or others. California has shown that these laws work. Our common sense bill would help more states enact similar laws that respect due process rights while giving families and law enforcement a way to remove guns from dangerous individuals. So it's actually interesting. They kind of fudge a lot of stuff in there. Pretty much it's not true at all that these extreme risk protection orders have stopped anything in the state of California as far as reducing crimes. It just simply hasn't done that. But anyways, they're still going to try to expand this across the US through this federal bill. And then they talk about due process in here, but it's really a fake form of due process, because what happens is you have an applicant, like a family, friend, or coworker, whoever, seek a petition from a court. You go through the process, but during that process, your firearms are seized, confiscated, and then you have to prove your innocence. All of those things prove that you're not insane or whatever, and then you will get your firearms back. But during that process, you are pretty much stripped of your Second Amendment rights in the interim. Now, one of the interesting things with all this to kind of hit home to me is in this press release, she's talking a lot about, well, the California law that's in place right now arose out of the Isla Vista shootings in 2014. If you are not aware, I've talked about this on my channel before. I went to University of California, Santa Barbara, and I was a senior that year in 2014 when there were those Isla Vista shootings. We heard the gunshots. We were there. I wasn't directly affected by it. Nobody I knew was affected by this directly, but we were there. We were there during all these conversations. We saw the ramifications of what that horrible individual did in the community. And that was the catalyst for what happened in the state of California as far as the Extreme Risk Protection Order Act here getting passed. And reading this, it was unfortunate to see them using that event that's very personal to me, that was a big reason why I ultimately became a Second Amendment advocate. It's unfortunate seeing them use that once again to try to push something nationwide, because with that individual, these extreme risk protection orders would have done absolutely nothing to stop that person, because he was contacted multiple times by police officers. Like we've seen multiple times, these individuals were contacted by police officers nationwide, and nothing like this would have stopped these individuals. In that specific incident, he actually stabbed some individuals that he was roommates with before he went on his entire rampage, and then he ran over individuals as well. Now, yes, firearms were included, but he used other tools as well when he went on his crazy rampage. So it's not like that this extreme risk protection order would have saved all of those individuals, because it simply wouldn't have. And it's disingenuous for them to say, well, if this was in place, that would have never happened, because it's simply, that's just not true. So if you oppose this bill, I highly recommend you reach out to your local representatives. Let them know you do not agree with what Dianne Feinstein is trying to do here in this national red flag law, as well as reach out to your local representatives whenever there is something like this pop up as far as gun control. I hope you guys reached out to your representatives as well, and letting them know that you did not agree with David Chipman being nominated as the what Biden calls the AFT director. I hope you guys reached out to them as well. Let them know you did not agree with his nomination. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment down below, and I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Also, if you guys like this video and you like support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, subscribe, and make sure to hit that notification bell, because that helps the channel analytics, helps us spread the word about the Second Amendment, and also spread the word about 2A news like this that is going on in the US. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.